We are introduced in Parshas Lech Lecha to a very interesting character into this whole plot. Of course, we know his name is Yishmael, the child of Avram Avinu and Hagar. Now, this Yishmael, as we all know, is the ancestor to the Arab world, which numbers billions and billions of people, is slowly increasing as we speak. And as we know, they're the ones who are making the most noise presently in the world, causing the most amount of fear and trepidation, and causing a lot of the murder and terrorism that unfortunately we are surrounded by in our day and age, especially where I'm speaking from over here in Eretz Yisrael. But have no fear, because the Baal HaTurim writes at the end of Parshat Chayei Sarah, Al Pnei Kol Achiv Nafal. When we find eventually that Yishmael will fall, then we start Eile Toldot Yitzchak. That will be the beginning of the end. In other words, Yishmael is what we call Ikveta de Mashiach. Yishmael is the one who is at the end of the line. The final Galut will be with Yishmael. Now, in the dream of Daniel, when Daniel had a dream, he had a picture of 4 types of animals, and each one represented a different type of galut, a different type of exile we'll go through, whether it's Babylon, Persia, or whether it was Rome or Edom, which is known as Esav, which we know from Esav. All of these ones were referred to as different animals, but Yishmael is not mentioned there. The man born in our Parsha is not mentioned there. So how is it that he's at the end of Ikveta de Mashiach? So answers the Maharal 500 years ago. You heard me? 500 years ago, before there was any remez, any idea of a Medinat Yisrael or a battle between us and them. The Maharal writes that they are not enunciated because all the other galiyot, they believed all the other big empires all believed in some type of paganism, some types of a lack of a oneness of God. All the previous ones obviously believed in many gods, or they believed in Avodah Zarah, but even Christianity for the past 2,000 years is also considered Avodah Zarah, because they introduced other ideas, Casper the Friendly Ghost, and all the other funny people that they added onto the picture. But they don't just have one God per se. I think they have 3, maybe 2, maybe 2.5, or 3, depends who's born today. I don't remember which one. But Al Kol Panim, that's considered Avodah Zarah also by Christianity. Only the Yishmaelim believe in a one God. They're the only ones who believe in an individual God and monotheism, which took it on, and that's why they have adapted, the only ones who have adapted the same name as us. We have Yisrael, the name of Hashem, Kel. Yisrael, we're Yashar, Kel, the name of Hashem. And they are Yishmael. Their name also has the name of a Kadosh Baruch Hu inside of it. The Kel is in their name. As the Pirkei D'rabbi Elazar writes, that in the end of days, a Kadosh Baruch Hu Yishma, L'divrei Yishmael. He will listen, Kel Yishma, Hashem will listen, L'divrei Yishmael, he will listen to the cries of Yishmael, and sort of speak, they will be somewhat answered. B'schut the Brit Milah that they have, and b'schut the fact that they believe in one God, so they will have a dominance that will sort of come to override us. Very scary, but an incredible nevuah that we are privy to, that we're able to see at our day and age. Let me read to you incredible words from the Pirkei D'rabbi Elazar, because over here at the end of Perek Lamed, he gives a number of predictions. Pirkei D'rabbi Elazar was Rabbi Eliezer Agadol, one of the Tanaim. It was written 1800, even 1900 years ago. And he writes over here, Atidim b'nei Yishmael asot be'aretz be'achrit yamim. Let me tell you what b'nei Yishmael is going to do in the land of Israel, which we were already decimated. It was after the Chormit Mikdash. We're not around. And still he says, we're going to be back here, and Yishmael is going to give us problems. What is that? First of all, Yimdidu Aretz Chavalim. They're going to measure the whole entire Aretz. They're going to say, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. They're going to go ahead and do it. They're going to make the place a Beit HaKfarot. They're going to turn Israel into a cemetery. Rachmana Litzlan, what we saw 2 years ago. And the truth is, in all our wars, how many lives have been lost? Tens of thousands of lives have been lost at the hands of the power of Yishmael, at the koch of this Yishmael, of what he was doing to us. Continues, V'yirbe hasheker, they're very into lying. They hold that lying is a mitzvah. Every Arab that you bump into, they never say, you cannot trust them. I usually ask them something just to know to take whatever they say and switch it to the opposite. And I know I'm right. Right out here in our parking lot, there's a bunch of Arabs that are working in a building 2 buildings down, and they're putting things down there over and over. We went to them and said, "Are you doing this?" They said, "Ma, nachnu, we don't do that. We're not doing this. It's not us. What do you think? We have cameras. We see them. I live over there. I'm able to see it." No, they deny from here till tomorrow, and that's v'tigos ha'emet. Another thing is they push away emet. People who speak the truth, they get upset at you. They get frustrated. They don't have anything to do with you. There's a long list here which I don't get into, but incredible. One of the things that it says is v'yivnu binyan behechal, and in the Heichal, in the Kodesh Kodashim, on the place of the Beit HaMikdash, they're going to build Al-Aqsa. They're going to build a mosque. They're going to, again, this is written 1,800 years ago. The mosque is about 450 years old. It's not that old. And this was written much way before then. They're going to build in the place of the Beit HaMikdash. They're going to build other types of things there. And there are many different things, but he concludes over there. Ve'odaya Rabbi Shmuel Omer. Rabbi Shmuel would say, Shloisha milchamot. They're going to bring 3 wars. Bnei Yishmael are going to bring 3 wars. One of them is in the Krach Gadol Sheberomi. One is in a big city in the Western world. They will make a big war, otherwise known as September 11th. They will go ahead and cause some type of catastrophe in one of the big cities in the Western world. And another one of the wars is, it says, in the Aretz they will do mipnei charvus nadadu. They will go ahead and bring cherev. They will bring what they call cherev sword, right? They will bring. This war was called cherev barzel. And the ein charvus el milchamot, when it refers to as war and treachery and death and seclusion and terrorism and catching captives, etc., etc., etc. That is what the predictions that are written this many years ago is all about. These people, which will come at the end of days. So now we understand why they are the final galut. Why are they the ones at the end? Because they're the ones who will conclude with monotheism also. They will do it also in the name of God, Kebiyachol. And therefore they are also they're also considered almost parallel, if I can say, Chas Shalom, at the same level as Bnei Yisrael. Also, in addition, all the 4 galiyot were called chayot, animals, as the Maharal writes, because they believed in some type of paganism. But Yishmael is not in that list because they are called an Adam. In our Parsha, they're called a Pere Adam, a wild person, one who is uncontrollable, as Rav Hirsch writes, one who is wild, one who is not able to keep any type of grip on him. That's a Pere Adam. So in one instance, they are called an Adam, a person, because they believe in one God, but they are prefaced, the word before the word Adam is Pere, wild, as the Chofetz Chaim writes, that normally you say Yeled Tov, he is a good boy. You say the noun first, Yeled, and then you say Tov, and he's good afterwards. But over here, it's done opposite. Instead of saying Adam Pere, he's a person who is wild, it says he's wild as a Pere. He says because even though he has a status of a person, it is always predecessed by the wildness Shabai. He says put a suit and tie on him, and he still looks like something, I don't want to get too descriptive. Like the Syrian leader right now, the one who's in charge of Syria, is basically like a big gorilla in a suit. Have you ever seen a picture of him? It looks like a certain type, it's a Pere with the Adam that happens to suffice, that continues following suit after it. Balkopanim, it's considered the final galut in the ikvete de Mashiach, and the ekev, in the final bottom of Mashiach, because this is the status of Adam to Adam, where we have a final battle against him, and then eventually, Bezrat Hashem, as we read to you in the beginning, we have the famous and important nevuah that says that when they will be nofel, al penei kol adam nofel, and then Ve'ele toldot Yitzchak, and that's the way it will be. By Esav, they're called alufim. The leaders are called alufim in the Torah. From Lashon Elef, there are many. As opposed to by Yishmael, they're called nesi'im. They are leaders because in the end of the day, they're not many. They focus on one davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They are focusing on one. And yes, I have to end with the words of the Zohar that says a very important enunciation. And he says in the Zohar in Parshas Vayera, he says that Avram Avinu said, Lu Yishmal Yechia Lefanecha. And Rav Chia used to cry, says the Zohar, when he would read these psukim. He says that Oy al Zman Sheyolda Hagar Oto, we should say Oy on those days that he was born. And he has a Brit Milah, he has a circumcision. Because he, sort of speak, is imitating many things. If you notice, many of the things they take on is Judaism warped, basically. You know, besides the Brit Milah, they shecht animals. They don't do treifot of what's kosher or not kosher. They will not eat a pig, as we know. They daven a certain amount of times. They bow down. Many things that they do. They also have certain fast days. They copied most of Judaism, and they took it on in that type of an extension. And said Reb Chia that he's a lot of tsar because he goes, Oy ma'yeh ma'yulad el kel, what's going to happen in the future when Atidim Yishmael lishlot be'eretz HaKdosha. In the future, Yishmael are going to try to take over Klal Yisrael. Because before that, while it was empty, he says, when it's empty, Yishmael will be in Eretz Yisrael. Just like the rest of the religion, if I could say, so to speak, empty. They keep it at a time when it's empty. But then eventually, when it will be populated and fruitful and growing, so then Bnei Yisrael will return to Moshavam, Limkomam, Ad shetechaleh schut hahi shel Bnei Yishmael. But they have to wait till the schut, the merit of Bnei Yishmael, has concluded, until it has finished. And until then, they will have to suffer lo aleinu, at the hands of the Yishmaelim. And now we kind of understand very clearly why we're having so much trouble. You can't make a truce with these people. It doesn't work. It's not going to happen. And we see you try to make peace here, peace there. It's not going to happen. The only way really to do it, as we understand, is to drive them out, like we should have done originally. But unfortunately, there is a certain group of people here that weren't interested. It's not going to happen because it's munach in the books. It's already written that there will always be a parallel between us and them. One cannot satisfy. When Yishmael is around, Yitzchak isn't. He's busy shooting arrows at them. And when it's the other way around, then it is the other way around. And of course, the head of the snake, as we all know, the Maharal writes 500 years ago, in the 1500s, the Maharal writes that they are an extension to Malchut Paras, which we know, of course, is Iran of Persia, because Paras, he says, is a dove, is the bear. Each one, Bavel is like a lion. Everyone is connected to one of the animals. They're a bear. Let me tell you something about a bear and why Persia is called a bear. Basically, it's known as one who's very gluttonous, but a bear is impenetrable. Even a lion, if you shoot a couple shots, he will run for it. Even a tiger. The one animal that you could shoot him, and if he wants to chase after you, if he's upset at you, he'll keep coming until he drops dead. And that is the bear. He never gives in. He never stops. He goes ad sof until he gets what he wants. Persia needs to be put down ad sof. Iran has to be completely annihilated. By going and doing a 12-day war and stopping in the middle was an absolute mistake, but no one's asking me, and it's not a big deal. That's not the point. The point is that it has to be completely annihilated because, as we all know, as we speak, they are recalibrating right now. They're getting back all their weapons. They're doing everything that can be seen. We know it's evidence, and right now there's a question, who's going to pull the trigger first? That's the whole question, because a bear, never gives up. Doesn't matter how many times you shoot at it, he keeps coming and attacking, and that's the head of all terrorism. The dove, Paras, is the head of Yishmael. That's what the Maharal writes 500 years ago. Here we have it. The predictions are on the board. Everything is there. All we have to do now is daven to Yashar Kel, to We Are Yisrael. We have to be straight, good, upright, correct, Yashar Kel to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and do what's right, both to our friends, both to Bein Adam L'Chaver, Bein Adam L'Makom, and Be'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring the Geula B'Mirabi Ameinu, and Bnei Yisrael will be B'Moshavam, Be'etanam, we'll be able to stay in the right place without any more tzaras, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring Shalom Ba'aretz in a way that's real Shalom, and not with a extensive peace which will not last. Chazak U'Baruch.